Members of the San Carlos Apache Tribe protested in front of Senator Mark Kelly's office today, urging him to take action to protect their land. Coming up, why the land is at risk.
Plus, Customs and Border Protection received over $700 million for new technology. We take a look at how that's being used.
And later, blood centers around the country are declaring a national blood supply shortage. We'll explain how this affects patients.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Raven Payne.
And I'm Alyssa Stoney. Thank you for joining us. Protesters are making their voices heard in the ongoing effort to protect sacred Apache land from copper mining. About 20 protesters, which included members of the San Carlos Apache Tribe and students from Brophy and Xavier schools, gathered outside Senator Mark Kelly's Phoenix office this morning. They are asking Senator Kelly to support the Save Oak Flat Act, a bill that would protect land considered sacred to Native Americans from copper mining.
Because we're registering our people to vote right now. The power lies with the people and the people's right to vote.
The bill was introduced by Congressman Raul Grijalva and follows years of uncertainty regarding the status of the land near Superior, Arizona. Oak Flat was federally protected until it became part of a land swap in 2014. Under the deal, the federal government agreed to exchange public land that included Oak Flat for land owned by multinational mining companies. The land holds religious and cultural significance to indigenous communities, particularly the San Carlos Apache, who still holds ceremonies on the land. The House bill has not been scheduled for a floor vote. Senator Bernie Sanders introduced the Senate bill. We reached out to Senator Kelly's office for comment, but have not heard back.
A 10-day strike of union concession food service workers at Sky Harbor International Airport is over. This was the scene last week when HMS employees walked out over wages, health insurance, and retirement contributions. Labor union Unite Here Local 11 says it had been in negotiations with the concessionaire since 2017. And though workers are back on the job, they say there's still plans to continue negotiations for better pay and benefits.
The Biden administration extended the mask mandate for people traveling on airplanes, buses, and other modes of public transportation. For now, the mandate is being extended through March. The last extension was set to last until January 18th because of concerns of the Delta variant. The latest extension comes after a confirmed case of the Omicron variant in the United States. Scientists are still studying the Omicron variant to determine how easily it spreads and how sick it makes those infected.
The border between Arizona and Sonora, Mexico is one spot where large amounts of drugs enter the United States. Cronkite News reporter Peyton Muse took a ride along with Border Patrol agents to learn how technology helps them do their job.
Customs and Border Protection, known as CBP, is responsible for border security, including immigration, trade, and agriculture. It's not just driving along a wall or a fence. They use all sorts of technology, from high-tech to canines. I rode along with them to see how technology helps them accomplish that. Nogales, Arizona has two land points of entry from Mexico, Mariposa and Decancini. In September of this year, over 300,000 pedestrians and over 630,000 vehicles crossed through these 2 points of entry, according to the University of Arizona. And it isn't only people crossing over. CBP says about 9.3% of drugs came into the U.S. during fiscal year 2021 from this area.
They're still in the vehicle. You can see them driving up there.
A part of the Tucson sector. Customs Border Patrol agent Kevin Hecht has been fighting drug activity for about 10 years. They have many tools to detect any kind of smuggling, from night vision devices to unmanned surveillance systems to trained canine officers. And technology like X-ray scanners, just like this one,
kind of pointed us where to look in our inspection. So
helped to detect approximately 7.5 pounds of cocaine a couple of months ago. The drugs were stuffed inside of this thick piece of wood and wrapped in lead paper to trip off the systems. And sometimes the technology goes where the CBP agents can't.
It's recorded, so it'll go down, and anytime we can send a robot in a tunnel instead of an agent, that's ideal, especially when it's sewage and dirt and nasty, spiders, whatever.
This robot is about 80 pounds, Hecht says, and while it's helpful to have technology do some of the dirty work, Hecht says the cartels in Mexico are steps ahead.
They're getting a little bit more sneaky on what they're doing just to counter what we're doing.
There you go.
Part of their training is going into the pipes.
The first idea is to clear it and it's safety. So is there people in there, is there drugs in there, is there guns in there, what's going on? So if we can send a robot in, we will. How are the gases, how's the air? So we always got to check air too, because if the air is bad, we don't want the agents in there. It can be fatal.
The technology they use costs millions of dollars. Since the fiscal year 2017, CBP obtained more than $743 million to improve their technology at the border. According to a federal audit, CBP used the money to get new technology and upgrade some systems.
In February 2021, the Department of Homeland Security published the results of the federal audit, finding problems with shifting priorities, construction delays, and a lack of tech solutions. We asked the Department of Homeland Security and CBP how this money was distributed to Arizona. Tomorrow, I'll have the details on what the audit found. In the newsroom, Peyton Muse, Cronkite News.
Blood transfusions represent the difference between life and death for many people with different medical conditions. But a blood shortage is putting some at risk. Cronkite News reporter Shayla Dubon speaks with the Valley patient who is dealing with leukemia.
Maribel Cesena is like any other woman. She enjoys painting, reading, baking, and talking about her family. But for 17 years, she's been battling leukemia.
When I discovered that I had leukemia, it was because I could no longer walk. I did have a lot of headaches, I got a lot of bumps, my hair fell out, I lost too much weight.
Cesena was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia, leading her to have to undergo blood transfusions.
Because sometimes my red blood cells are very high and it makes me tired. I have depression or I have anxiety because my level isn't there. After all, they are not as they should be, and that's called leukemia.
Every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood, and blood centers across the country are declaring a critical blood supply shortage, according to the American Red Cross. Sue Thu, a spokesperson of Vitalant, a blood center in Arizona, says that the pandemic has made a big impact in donating blood.
The workforces are still virtual. We're finding that we're losing about 1/3 of the blood drives because they don't have enough people in one physical location to be able to host a blood drive.
They emphasize the need for these donations, especially those with type O blood.
Type O is the universal blood type used in emergencies and traumas, so you can imagine how important that is when people are rushed to the hospital needing transfusions immediately.
Nearly 60% of the Hispanic population has type O blood, according to the American Red Cross. Patients are more likely to find a blood match among donors who share the same heritage, something Cesena calls on the importance of donating.
For me, it is very important to make this type of donation because it gives us the opportunity to be better.
In Phoenix, Shayla Dubon, Cronkite News.
You could learn more about how to donate blood and make an appointment near you at Vitalant.org.
Now that it's getting cooler outside, outdoor activities are back on the rise. When we come back, we talk about how to stay safe while having fun in the water.
Rods and reels, anglers can earn some cash with a new solution to one overpopulated fish in the Colorado River.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
Everyone has secrets. Are you protecting someone?
I have no choice.
You do have a choice. You're looking at him.
That's amazing. We could be standing on top of a T-Rex right now.
women demanded new space and pushed the boundaries of what being a lady means.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station, sign in, and start streaming today.
I was so excited when I learned that I was going to be the next moderator of Washington Week. I was incredibly lucky to be mentored by Gwen Ifill, and what that gave to me was this confidence that I could be my full self and that I was deserving of whatever spaces I was in.
Welcome to Washington Week.
I also feel this great joy in taking the helm of Washington Week, knowing that I can mold it and make it my own, but also make sure that it is still within the legacy and the tradition that made it so great for all of these years.
2021 was one of the wettest monsoon seasons in Arizona. But what does this mean for local lake levels and outdoor enthusiasts? Cronkite News reporter Nicole Long explains why water levels are rising this time of year and the dangers they might cause.
Cooler temperatures bring a higher percentage of outdoor activities like boating, camping, birdwatching, and fishing. At Lake Pleasant, the water levels are on the rise after a steady decline during the warmer months. This means deeper water and potential danger, according to Danny Rodriguez with the Arizona Game and Fish Department.
Previous years has been really bad. So with that comes with the fluctuation with the lake levels. So that can definitely impact how things are as far as recreating and access.
In 2020, more than 210 boating incidents occurred, including 10 fatalities across Arizona, according to the Arizona Game and Fish Department.
Make sure that they are wearing life jackets when they're on their boat. It definitely saves lives because we've had a couple incidents.
Other recommendations for safety are:
when you're on any waterway, whether it's Lake Pleasant, Lake Havasu, the Colorado River, Lake Powell, just make sure that you're abiding by all the navigational markers. Make sure you pay attention to the hazard markers. So just in case a boat were to come through and they ignore that, they're going to potentially damage their boat and cause potential safety issues for people on board.
The Game and Fish Department is stocking fish into Arizona lakes, rivers, and reservoirs, and campsites will remain open throughout the fall and winter. In Phoenix, Nicole Long, Cronkite News.
Wearing your life vest and paying attention to lake levels are two ways to stay safe while out on the water.
National Park Services is taking a different approach to adjusting the population of one invasive fish in Lee's Ferry. A $500 bounty is being offered to the person who catches the largest brown trout caught in the river. The fish's population has increased since 2014 and now makes up about 10% of fish in the river. Taylor McKinnon from the Center for Biological Diversity says the program will help the survival and recovery of endangered fish in the Colorado River.
We're still seeing those 80-degree days here in the valley, but will things finally start to cool down this weekend? Evan Liss is in the Weather Center with more details.
Looking at your weather headlines, the biggest story by far is record-breaking warmth in and around the region. We're going to take a run at that for the next couple of days in terms of our high temperatures again. Now, big cool down arrives on Tuesday. You're going to see a marked difference in temperatures, and then maybe, just maybe, at the end of next week, we could see upper 60s in terms of a high. That's finally close to our average. Looking at the big picture, why it's happening, we have this ridge of high pressure that's starting to break down, moving out to our east, except we're still going to stay sunny and pretty warm going into the weekend. The first big story, low pressure system coming in from the Pacific Northwest is going to cool down our temperatures a fair amount, 72 degrees on Tuesday. The second shot of reinforcing cold air, the one that's probably more important if you want to see the 60s, is this one. We're not too sure what's going on with it in terms of the models, but it'll definitely help to push down our temperatures if this is what happens with it. Before then, tomorrow, as I said, like pretty much below the Mogollon Rim, we see 80s on the map. 80 degrees in Phoenix, 82 in Yuma, 80 degrees in Tucson, and pretty balmy for this time of the year, 57-degree high in Flagstaff. Looking at our 8-day forecast, as I said, warm, sunny weekend. Before we start to see that cool down on Tuesday influence our region, a big difference in temperatures, 71 degrees for a high, and then look at that, just starting to make itself known, 68 degrees all the way at the end of next week. It's still way too far out to see if that's going to come to fruition, but if you like the 60s, keep your eye on that, and we'll see what happens. For now, I'm Evan Liss in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
I'm Jack Johnson. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Here's what we got on deck. How one high school quarterback overcame obstacles and is now leading his team into the playoffs.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
Everyone has secrets. Are you protecting someone?
I have no choice.
You do have a choice. You're looking at him.
That's amazing. We could be standing on top of a T-Rex right now.
Women demanded new space and pushed the boundaries of what being a lady means.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station. Sign in and start streaming today.
I was so excited when I learned that I was going to be the next moderator of Washington Week. I was incredibly lucky to be mentored by Gwen Ifill, and what that gave to me was this confidence that I could be my full self and that I was deserving in whatever spaces I was in.
Welcome to Washington Week.
I also feel this great joy in taking the helm of Washington Week, knowing that I can mold it and make it my own, but also make sure that it is still within the legacy and the tradition that made it so great for all of these years.
Welcome back. I'm Jack Johnson. Here is your Cronkite Sports Report. Just past midnight Eastern Time last night, Major League Baseball announced a lockout after a 26-year-long history of labor peace. Players and owners failed to reach a new collective bargaining agreement, and the lockout puts a freeze on any free agent signings and prevents players from using any team facilities. Players say this is a drastic measure that owners are choosing to make, but Commissioner Rob Manfred says the league was forced into the work stoppage.
It's the norm in professional sports, and we feel it's the best strategy to protect the 2022 season for the benefit of our fans. We made the mistake of playing without a collective bargaining agreement in 1994, and it cost our fans and our clubs dearly. We will not make that same mistake again.
Right before the lockout, the D-backs were able to sneak in the signing of closer Mark Melancon. Melancon signed a 2-year contract worth around $14 million. He led the league with 39 saves last season with the Padres. And the Suns are in action tonight, going for a franchise record 18th straight victory. They face off against the struggling Detroit Pistons, who have a dismal record of 4-17. The Suns will be without star guard Devin Booker, who's expected to miss a couple of games with a minor hamstring injury. The last time the Suns had a win streak this long was the 2006-2007 season. And over to high school football, where the state playoffs continue this weekend. 6A top seed Highland faces Red Mountain in the semifinals tomorrow night. Cronkite News reporter Ryan Blank has more on the Hawks quarterback, who has tackled his share of obstacles.
After a devastating loss last year in the state championship game, the Highland Hawks are the top seed in the 6A state playoffs, and Iowa return to the big stage, led by quarterback Gage Daly.
We've been there before, so we know what it takes to get there. The coaches know what it takes. The players that were on the team last year, they all know. So it's just do what got you here. We just got to be us, and we know we can win it all this year.
A state title would be the crowning achievement for Daly, who wasn't always destined to be a star quarterback. At the age of 7, Daly faced one of his toughest battles. He contracted valley fever with double pneumonia.
Playing on the playground and all the sand like in the air, it's just elementary school, just there's a bunch of kids in the sand pits, probably swimming a lot. I got probably swallowed some water. So there's probably an accumulation of things. Also lived in Arizona.
He wasn't as active. He wasn't able to hold his breath as much. You know, he's always a really super active kid. I remember him laying around an awful lot and just not feeling right about it.
During his battle, Daly was hospitalized for over a week. The doctors drained his lungs and put him on a breathing plan to increase his oxygen levels.
I got 2 tubes, then a camera like in the back of my rib cage. I got 2 tubes in my left lung. I just remember like them draining it every now and then.
He also had a breathing tube that he had to blow into. He basically had to exercise his lungs to get him back to capacity and back to normal.
Due to his battle with valley fever, Daly made a career-altering change that would become the catalyst in his football life. He decided to move from running back to quarterback. This move would lead to him becoming one of the greatest quarterbacks in Highland football history, as he holds multiple program records.
There's just been a lot of training, different quarterback coaches, a lot of years of trying to perfect my craft playing football.
He puts the ball where he wants it. He makes throws that very few people can make, and he does things with his brain that I've only seen a select people do.
With Daly in his final weeks as a Hawk, he and the team have one thing in mind: winning the first state championship in program history.
That would mean everything. In my high school career with the ring, it would just mean so much to the community and just the whole team, just everything we put in this season. And since Coach Farrell's been here, everything he's been trying to instill in us for it to all come full circle would be amazing.
Daly and the Hawks are currently preparing for their state semifinal matchup against Red Mountain on Friday. The senior quarterback is cherishing every last moment with Highland. In Gilbert, Ryan Blank, Cronkite News.
Things are looking grim for ASU men's basketball these days. The Sun Devils are on a 5-game losing streak and put up only 29 points in a loss to Washington State last night. It's the fewest points the Sun Devils have put up in a single game in nearly 70 years. Bobby Hurley's squad struggled, shooting 21% from the floor and 11% from behind the arc. Only guard DJ Horn was able to score in double digits for ASU. Next is a matchup against Pac-12 rival Oregon on the road. And finally, quarterback Jaden Daniels says he's staying at ASU for his senior season. Daniels posted a video on Twitter this morning. The announcement follows speculation that Spencer Rattler would land at ASU after the Oklahoma QB hit the transfer portal. Daniels led the Pac-12 in completion percentage this season, but was in the bottom third for both passing yards and touchdowns. And that does it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Raven, let's go back to you.
If you're searching for a way to bring joy to the world this holiday season, look no further. After the break, opportunities to give back with Hands On Greater Phoenix.
Cronkite News is more than your local news station. Through our innovative ideas, we create new ways to connect with our viewers and have their stories be heard. Our cutting-edge technology allows us to take a deeper dive into seeking the truth and delivering new perspectives. Stay up to date on top Arizona stories anytime on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook at Cronkite News.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
'Tis the season to help others, and you may like to donate food to a food pantry, help a friend with meals, or buy toys for children. Hands On Greater Phoenix engages volunteers in about 70,000 hours of service in a typical year. Reporter Molly Hudson spoke with one volunteer who enjoys volunteering during the holidays and year-round.
Serve others it's my DNA. I actually have it tattooed on my wrist.
Cicely Sapp has been volunteering with her company at St. Mary's Food Bank for 7 years.
It's just an opportunity for our entire company to volunteer together.
But it is the community involvement, the friendly competition, and the appreciation that keeps them coming back.
For us, it's very important to be able to serve our community in any way that we can, especially around the holidays when people maybe need a little bit more help than usual in order to provide for their family.
Although the holiday season is typically a busy time for volunteering, there's a need for volunteers year-round.
We always try to say to people that need knows no season.
In a typical year, Hands On Greater Phoenix places between 13 and 15,000 volunteers to help around 350 different organizations. Oliver says the trend is always an increased interest during the holidays.
People are counting their good fortune or counting their blessings and recognizing that there's a other half out there that don't enjoy those same opportunities and that same good fortune.
But Oliver says the pandemic has also made some people hesitant to volunteer in person.
It's not as much of a mad rush. I think there are still a lot of people who are not comfortable volunteering in person yet.
Although some of her favorite volunteer events happen around the holidays, Sapp says volunteering year-round any way you can is just as important.
Whether that's donating money, whether that's donating blood, whether that's donating food, whether that's actually serving time side by side with your community to build and strengthen that unity that we have. That's what it's all about.
In Phoenix, Molly Hudson, Cronkite News.
Whether you want to create stockings for children or interact with potbelly pigs for an afternoon, there are still several opportunities to get involved in the next couple of weeks. To see upcoming volunteer dates, click calendar at handsonphoenix.org.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.